Hello my beautiful team. I've got a bit of downtime today, so I'm going to try and do some videos to chat a little bit about some business structure and looking after new members and stuff for your team. We have had a whole heap of new people sharing. Some of you are wanting to build a business eventually, but I just want to make sure that when you're sharing that you have a good foundation of just the things that we do to look after our new team members, where we place them, etc, etc. So this quick video, hopefully around about 5 minutes, will be just some quick tips on placement. So if that means absolutely nothing to you and you have no idea what I'm talking about when I'm talking about placement in your tree, then have a chat with the person that has enrolled you, but hopefully this will give you a couple of tips. So when you've enrolled somebody, firstly, if you can enroll them in two ways. Firstly, you can just use your number and as a sponsor and enroller. Now, I guess I should quickly just describe what they are. Now, an enroller is the person who has enrolled that person, the person that would earn commission from that person, etc. So that if you've got a friend that you're sharing with, and they want to join, then they will join with you and you are their enroller. Now, sponsor is a bit different. Now, sponsor pretty much means where they're placed in your tree. Now, for your first couple of people, you may, or your first person, you will be both of those, possibly. But as you go along and your tree gets bigger, you'll be placing them underneath other people and they will be the sponsor. So the sponsor is the place where they are in your team. So you might have your mum, then your sister, and a new person. Your sister will become that sponsor of that person, but you will still be their enroller. Hopefully that makes sense. So the enroller is the person that earns commission. That includes the fast start and all of that. So placements. Now, when we're placing them in our tree, when you first start, we want to be looking to build you for a rank of Premier right from the start. Now, we go up in ranks just by volume until we get to Elite. So there's, I think, Manager, then Director. So Manager's 500, Director's 1,000. This is volume underneath you. We've got Executive at 2,000, Elite at 3,000. And then once we get to Premier, we need to actually be thinking about how we're structuring our team. And so this is where you need 5,000 overall, and you need to have 2 legs that are 2,000 each with an executive at the top of each leg. So this is why we get you to start thinking about placing for Premier in the future right from the start. Now, to have Premier, you may come on board. When you come on board, or when you decide to start sharing, you may have other people that have been placed underneath you by your enroller, and that's fine. You would count them as a gift of overall volume for your team, and really start your team off when you get your first enrollment. So what happens is when you get an enrollment, or when we rank to Premier, we need to have 2 legs that are a personally enrolled executive. So those 2 executives that we're going to rank off need to be our personal enrollments. So when you get, say, your sister joins, you would place her under you. Or if you have had a few people placed under you, you might place her as a second leg for one of those persons, or right under the bottom, depending. We don't want to go too deep in a line. We want to place them in around about 3 to 5 levels down from us, or in the first few levels of us where we are, for maximum commissions and things down the track. So we want to place, you'll pop her somewhere in your first few rows, and just chat to your enroller about that, and they can guide you through that. And then, so if you had your sister and your mum and your cousin join, then we would place those together. So I just want to tell you a few rules for placement. So first of all, it's really important that we have a conversation. Now, we get 14 days to move an enrollment, so we can place them on our front line if you want to start, and then have 14 days to work out where you want them to actually sit in your tree and where they're going to thrive the best in our tree. So we have to have an important conversation with our new enrollments in their first 14 days, and I usually suggest setting up a wellness consult with them at this time. So we want to find out and determine from them what they want to do with their oils in their account. And it doesn't have to be a pushy conversation, it's just a conversation to ask them what they actually want to do with their oils. Do they just want to use their oils for personal use? Are they excited about sharing? Would they like to share with their friends and family to, you know, get a bit of commissions and get their oils paid for? Or are they interested in earning money with doTERRA and, you know, maybe building a business down the track? And it's okay wherever they sit in those. It just helps us to know where to place them. And this is especially later on when you've got a team of, say, 20 or more people. You want to be placing your personal users that are not going to share or don't really want to share. You want to place them in a place where they can thrive and just order their oils when they want, but they're not going to be in a key position of leadership in your team. And you know, I've made mistakes here, and a few of my leaders, we've made mistakes here as well. So we're just trying to teach you guys the best ways to move forward. So first of all, we're going to ask them what they want to do with their oils, and place them in you know, key positions only if they want to do a business or share the oils. Now a key position would be somewhere where we're going to place more people underneath them to potentially rank later. So we want to place them for a few things. So first of all, relationship. So this is as an example of your sister, your mum and your cousin, because they're all in one family. We don't want to break them up into two separate legs, because potentially those legs are actually competing but not competing. They're not really working together for the same overall goals and working together with OV, their volume and all that. So we want to place them all in the same leg. If you then have a friend or a work colleague or something like that, you might place them in your second leg. And you might have a leg of work people, a leg of family, and things like that. So we're firstly placing for relationships. So if we have someone that person has a relationship with, we try to place them in that leg first. Secondly, geographically. Now I've certainly made mistakes here, and I wish I had placed differently looking back at some of my tree now, but you know, you do better when you know better. So if you have someone that you enroll in Brisbane, then you've got a team or a leg where a few people in Brisbane are, it would be most advisable to place them in that leg if you can. If you had a Sydney team or you know, a New Zealand team or something, you want to place the person with that geographical location so they can best be supported. And if you had a leader there, they may be able to go along to another leader's workshop, and then it actually supports that leader and they both support each other if they're in the same leg. Thirdly, you could place for their interest or their stage of life. So thinking about where this person is best going to be supported and nurtured, this is what Vanessa Jean says, when they wake up. So often, a lot of the times, we'll use our oils and we love them, and once we start to really like the oils, we do start to share them, and that's kind of where we wake up. So where is that person going to be best nurtured when they do wake up and want to share the oils? And then fourthly, this is where we should really be only thinking about placing for rank and advancement and things like this after those things. Now, I have not always placed with the others in mind first. Sometimes I have done the wrong thing and placed for rank, and I shouldn't have done that. I just want to teach you guys to do the right thing and by your team and placing them where they're best nurtured. This certainly goes for later on, but if you've got your first few people, you want to make a family, or you want to start off with 2 legs if we can. Ideally having someone who's going to be on a 100 LRP or who's really keen for LRP or wants to share, they're a great person to have on our front line. If they're not so keen on that, then we might place them underneath someone else. Obviously you need to start somewhere. So when you've only got a few enrollments, they have to be your front line because they have to. And then we'll build underneath them. But you might start your second leg when you find someone who's keen to share, or if it's a different relationship to those in your first line. So hopefully that gives us some ideas of how placement works. As you get after Premier, you'll start adding a third leg for silver. So that's just chat, so you can have a chat with me about that, or your upline if they're building the business too. So I've gone way over 5 minutes, but that's 10 minutes, but hopefully that gives you some ideas of how we place in our team and where we need to have personal enrollments. And then if you've got a personal enrollment at the front of your line, then myself or anyone above you can actually build underneath you as well, and that's helping your volume, but going underneath someone that you're actually already ranking off, which is really great. Anyways, I'll leave it there for now. Hopefully that's helpful, and you can ask me any questions if you have any. Bye.